Hello. Hello. Swimming pools and lifeguards. So, swimming pools and lifeguards, atheism, and FLDS. So I think FLDS stands for fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. I'm not sure. I watched a video from Peter where he pointed at FLDS, and they believe in polygamy or practice polygamy, and they or polygamy, and they the LDS has prophets, and so the prophets can do things like teach you not to pay your taxes and then end up in prison. There's that. And then there's atheism. I did an outreach to someone who follows me on Twitter, and I follow them. And yes, I called it Twitter. But he was asking for criticism, and then I sent him a direct message, and I let him know that I had been transformed recently into someone who loves people better, and I'm practicing loving people better, and it's an amazing thing. And his response was that that there is no God, God is dead, and that some people should not be loved unconditionally, and that he is a spiritual authority. And I treated him like a spiritual authority because I learned that I believe I have something that someone else doesn't, and I want to go give them this amazing thing that I have, that can be perceived as patronizing, depending on what I say and what I do, and that from his perspective, that experience and perception of my being patronizing was not helpful, and I think that's right. When we have a gift that we want to give to someone who would benefit if they had that gift, if we want to give them a taste of something wonderful, they could, depending on what we say, they could turn their nose. And this is the point. It's the swimming pools and lifeguards. So the point is based on a story. A guy, his friend was struggling and was panicking, asking for help in the water, and the lifeguard next to him wasn't doing anything. And so he was getting kind of angry at the lifeguard. He's like, why aren't you going to go save my friend? And it wasn't until his friend stopped struggling and went beneath the surface that the lifeguard just jumped in, grabbed him, and saved him. And so he asked the lifeguard, he's like, why'd you wait so long? And the lifeguard said, well, if I'd have jumped in before he had given up, then he would have fought me. And there was a chance that he would have dragged me down with him, or maybe I would have drowned. And so Jesus has a teaching where he says that it's hard for the rich man to get to heaven. And so heaven is here and now, and it is in the afterlife. And it tastes so good. It's the taste of unconditional love. And the rich man is not just the one who has a lot of money, but it's anyone who depends on themselves and has success depending on themselves. They're in the swimming pool and they've got it figured out. They don't need help. That's the rich man. And so the rich man who doesn't need help doesn't need a savior. And that's an interesting one where I go to church and there's people who say Jesus is their Savior. And for the rich man didn't need a Savior, right? They were swimming, they were fine. They got money, they got beauty, they've got athleticism, they've got popularity, they've got status and power, and they don't need a Savior. And so I was a rich man, and I didn't need a Savior. And so it's hard for a rich man to get to heaven, but I've got a taste of it, and I can tell you it's good. And so a lot of atheists are rich men, rich people. They're in the swimming pool and they're doing just fine. They aren't struggling. They don't need help. They don't need a Savior. They don't need a lifeguard to come in and save them. And so they have no reason, from their perspective, there's no reason for them to change things up. Like, why would they ask for help from the Savior or from the lifeguard when they don't need help, and it's obvious they don't need help? And then they look at someone like people in the FLDS who believe in a prophet, believe in a false prophet. And I would say even LDS, like, believe in a false prophet in LDS. Or they look at Catholics and they believe in a false pope. Basically, they've become confused, right? There's so many people who call themselves different things, claim to know God, but it's obvious from the person who's swimming in the pool and doesn't need help that they're confused. It's quite obvious. And so it's easy for the atheist to say, God is dead and I don't need God. And that's just because they don't know what it tastes like to know God. Now, they get a glimpse. I'm going to put this in here. I haven't done this yet. Mind-altering experiences. So they can get a glimpse of what it's like to know God when they do psilocybin mushrooms or do ayahuasca or things like that. They get a glimpse. And it can be, for an atheist type, it can be one of the most meaningful experiences they've had in their entire life. And that's a glimpse at what it's like to live each day with God. And so these mind-altering experiences can be dangerous, but they can also be helpful. And it just depends on who you are as a person. But so a lot of the atheist types who have everything figured out and they're in the swimming pool could remember their mind-altering experiences that they've had in which they felt a power greater than themselves. They came to taste what that is like, and then they could ask themselves, well, is there something like that I could experience at every moment? The kingdom of heaven at every moment. And then you can ask yourself, if God is willing to give me that, why wouldn't I do it? Am I so proud that I'm just going to go swimming in the pool just because I can, and I could do it my entire life, or I might be able to do it my entire life? Am I so proud that I'm just going to reject the amazing taste of knowing God because I'm proud? It's your choice. I love y'all. Hope y'all have a good day. Let me know what you think.